Hey, hi Saul. Thanks for joining. All right. This has been a while. If you're new here, my name is Kevin. I'm a sculptor, and I'll be showing you how to use this wax recipe that I basically created myself. If you are a subscriber, then you'll know that I haven't been on in quite some time, so I apologize for that. I'm just trying to get back into creating content again and just showing people how to like sculpt and make stuff. So that's why I didn't really announce this broadcast or anything like that. So thank you again if you're joining. Um, yeah, this is gonna be a quick one because it's actually like midnight here. So I'm probably only gonna sculpt for like an hour or so. But yeah, I'll just get started. So this is my new streaming setup. Um, you can see this is my sculpting table, and then I have uh, all my equipment located in these handy uh, little boxes. Okay, just gonna increase the temperature on that. So if you can't tell, right here what I'm pointing at, this is the Relix, this is the wax, and I have it in this sort of like electric skillet. And so basically once it heats up enough, I can just like reach in there and just grab however much I need. So maybe I'll just take like this much. And yeah, this is the wax. So you can see in its like initial heat, it's very uneven. There's a lot of variability. There's like hot and cold zones. So what you need to do as soon as you pull it out is just start kneading it. And this will just sort of make all of the areas in the wax uniform. And so that when you're kneading it, you're just like sort of working those crystals in the wax. Because basically the particles inside the wax are like crystallized, and you're just sort of relaxing those crystals. I sound like I'm friggin' spiritual guru or something talking about crystals. Anyway, so I'm going to make a very quick sculpt, and let's see if you guys can figure out what I'm sculpting as I go along. Again, this is going to be like a very easy one, very quick one. I'm trying not to spend too much time overthinking things because I just want to sort of get this done and really just increase the amount of things I can do with my time, basically. So this is really just like a practice session. Okay, so I know it doesn't look like much, but we're gonna keep going. Hold on, I'm looking at some reference photos here because even I'm like, what is this supposed to look like? So that looks okay. I need to turn that off. So if you're if you're ever heating up wax, you'll see that like if you let it go for some time, it starts turning like really liquidy. And basically what you can do is, because this is just too hot to handle, you can just get like a little spatula. I have this silicone spatula. Pull it into the mainframe. Oh, I like that word, mainframe. Yeah, uh, so this is like pretty hot, but you can put it on the spatula and then just let it cool down a little bit before you touch it. Just put that back. Let's see, yeah, maybe like that much. And what I do is I sort of like leave, you can't really tell in the frame, but I'm like leaving the spatula sort of lying on this on top of the skillet, just sort of staying there in the heat. So I can always go back to it and grab some more if I want. Again, with wax, you're working with like a hot substance. So you really just want to be careful, especially if you haven't been doing this for a while, your fingers aren't like sort of desensitized to the heat of the wax. It's looking like something. Don't know what. We're gonna we're gonna find out. Reference photo. Okay. Yeah, let's go. So if you guys have any questions as I'm doing this, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer any questions people have about a very niche subject like sculpting with wax or making this wax again. If you're new here and you haven't seen my content before, this is a wax sculpting medium, and this is a formula that I sort of came up with over many trial and error, and it just sort of works for me. So what I want to do now is, let's see, reference. Okay, let's see, it looks, it's more, I might have to increase the volume on this guy. That's okay. Again, you just want to, because you see, you can visibly see there's like hard areas because they're cooler, and then there's like more gooey areas because they're hotter. And basically, it's really hard to work with this stuff like in this state. So you just want to keep kneading it until it's all uniformly heated. Um, so yeah, when you think of wax, you probably don't think of something being this flexible, and that's because my wax has it's part hard waxes, natural hard waxes like carnauba and candelilla. But there's also some beeswax to make it more malleable and to lower the melting temperature. Because carnauba and candelilla, they have pretty high melting temperatures, and that's what makes them so hard at room temperature. But by adding some beeswax, you can lower that melting temperature and make it melt at a lower one. And then to make it more flexible like this, what I do is I add a type of tree sap or resin. And you have to be careful when adding resin because sometimes, like me, you can get an allergic reaction to certain types of tree resin. For me, it was pine rosin, which is apparently also one of the most like available kinds. So that kind of sucked because I thought, oh wow, this stuff is so common and you can find it anywhere. You can find it in like sporting goods stores because I think they make like baseball or other like sports. It's like a chalk dust. I don't know exactly what the term is, but basically, you sort of powder your hands with it to give it more grip because that's what the resin does. It gives more grip to the material as well, so that as you're sculpting it, it like actually has friction. Because if there's no friction, you're just like slipping and sliding all over the place, and you can't actually uh, move it the way you want to. So you want it to have some grip, but not too much. So you don't want to add too much resin. Okay, reference. See. Okay, yeah, I think I need more volume on this guy. So keep going. See, you can see here, my wax has gotten very liquidy and kind of hot. So I'm going to try and cool it down again by just taking some out and just like spinning the spatula so that it can like cool down. Take it. Just gonna spin it again here so that it doesn't like drip all over the place. Okay. That's enough for now. This always happens. Like I always tell myself, oh, just make a small sculpture, and that way it'll be easier to work with. But then I always keep adding on, and then I go back and I'm like removing material. But it's okay. You just sort of go with the flow. Interesting. Okay, grab some more. And again, feel free to ask any questions. I'm always available to answer any questions. And it doesn't have to be related to wax stuff. Like if you're just curious about random stuff. I mean, I don't have a ton of uh things to offer besides making toys and sculpting and wax and whatnot. But I do consider myself a bit of a people person. I'm not super like extrovert or anything like that. But if you ask me for things, I usually will try my best to help you out within a reasonable level. Also, let me know if like this stream is working because I've never streamed with this setup before. Um and I don't know if like maybe I've been mute this whole time and no one's bothered to give me the heads up. Okay, it's getting there. You know what? Yeah, I think I need a little more volume here. I know you guys are probably looking at this like, what the hell? Sorry, excuse me. What is he making? And again, for anyone new joining here, what I'm sculpting with is a type of wax material called Relix. This is a material that I created myself. I'll probably be repeating myself saying this over and over again. Okay, that looks more even now. I'm trying to get like almost a perfect sphere. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to get it close. And again, this is just sort of like a rough sculpt. Okay, now I'm going to look at a reference photo. And I haven't told anyone yet what I'm making, so you're just going to have to guess as I go along. And this should probably only take me about an hour if I can do this right. Okay, that looks okay. It's not super anatomically correct. You're probably thinking like, what's it's a freaking sphere? Like how anatomically correct you need to how hard is that to make a sphere anatomically correct? And what I'm doing right now is this is a heated electric skillet, and I've just dumped a bunch of wax in here, and I'm just letting it melt. And when it gets to this sort of like liquidy state, that's actually not good because it's too hot to handle. So what I'll do is I'll just like take a bit out on my spatula, and I'm just spinning it so that it doesn't drip everywhere while it cools. I'm just gonna do this for a little bit. Hope this isn't like making you guys dizzy or anything. Okay, that feels, yeah, that's good. So you see it's like pretty, like almost creamy when it's heated, but once it starts cooling down, it's actually pretty hard, like almost like plastic. So it's not like, I mean, there are some very hard, like oil-based not sulfur, oil-based clays out there and water-based, but this is wax, so definitely not the same. Okay, just want another thing. Is that right? It's more inset, so I think I need to make this smaller, so I'm just gonna grab it. And you see, like, it is cooling down, and I'm having to use a little bit more pressure to manipulate it as time goes on because it's getting colder. But you have about like a minute before it like really hardens, so that's actually pretty good. Okay, this is such a crappy looking sculpt right now, but I promise it's gonna make sense. I mean, mostly. Okay, so it looks like now I need those. Okay. Sorry about that. It's my wax pen letting me know it's been on for like an hour and a half. It took me like an hour and a half to get this whole stream set up. Hey, Anthill Crafting. Thanks for joining the stream. Yeah, I know, it's been a really long time. I've just been dealing with like a lot of life stuff that I probably need to get back to at some point. Um, but yeah, trying this out because I really want to get back into sculpting and just creating content for you guys. And for anyone who knows about this material that I'm working with, Relix, you'll know that like about a year, maybe over a year ago, I was selling this material, like producing and selling it myself, so that people would use it. But I learned kind of quickly that I don't think I'm cut out for the business world. It's just a whole different animal to try to like run a business that has to deal with like physical products and logistics and shipping, and like it's not like I send this stuff to a factory and just like, hey guys, make this and then I'll sell it and get a percentage or whatever. Like I would go to I would go to my studio space and I would go and basically spend hours just like mixing a batch of wax. Oh wait, what am I doing? This is not what I wanted. Or is it? Oh, maybe it is. Okay. Good thing about wax is that it really forces you to level up your sculpting skill in a short amount of time, because it's extremely difficult to work with sometimes, and just learn to like not make mistakes as often. But I know this looks kind of weird. Yeah, banter and fun. Thank you for that. Customers can be me, but actually all my customers have been extremely super nice. Um, I never had to deal with like crazy customers or anything like that. Everyone would always give me super positive comments, and that's another thing. Is like I feel bad that I can't sell this stuff anymore because I know a lot of people don't have the means to actually make it themselves. People have told me like, "Oh, I can't get these ingredients in my country," and I'm like, "Really? Like that's kind of insane," but it's true. And then other people will tell me like, "Hey, like it's great and all, but like the startup cost to like make stuff is like gonna cost more than if I just buy some from you that I'm gonna use for like years." And I get that. I definitely do, because that's how it was for me as well. But I just personally do not have the time or the flexibility to produce this stuff to sell anymore. I gave like I tried a lot of different ideas out, and I was like, what if I modify the formula and make it so that it is a lot cheaper to produce, so that I can make a lot more of it and it won't cost such a high investment to produce. But the problem with that was that once I started finding cheaper alternatives to the ingredients, it basically wasn't Relix anymore. Like it was usable, but it was just basically like any other like mass-produced sculpting medium out there, which is not that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to make something that was like all natural. You didn't have to worry about any like petrochemicals, because there are like waxes made from basically petroleum. And like although people will say like study there are no like actual physical like proof or studies that says that burning candles in a room will give you like cancerous fumes or anything like that if they're made from petroleum based waxes. I didn't like the smells that were coming from the cheaper ingredients I was using, and I just didn't feel comfortable putting that out in the world if just to make like a buck. Um, so yeah, again, I I really gave it a lot of thought, and I was like, you know what, maybe the best option is just like tell people like, hey, um, here's the formula. If possible, try to make it yourself. If not, there are other stuff out there. I'm not saying all the stuff out there is bad. There's really good sculpting mediums out there. Um, but the one that I used to use, which is what inspired me to create this, is called CX5. It was created by this really genius like level sculptor, Adam Bean. If you ever see any of his sculpts, they're just so amazing. Like I don't have the ability to sculpt such realistic, detailed stuff. Like I make cute cartoon and character related stuff, you know, and that's just what I like. But if you like more realistic sculpting and stuff like that, Adam Bean's the one to check out. So he has like amazing sculpts, and it really inspired me to like, I wonder like how he made this wax. And I started looking around. I was like, oh, this guy Gary Overman, he made like his own recipe book for waxes like a long time ago. I think he was like the original. And he was so kind enough to share his formulas. And although he was using, you know, like paraffin and microcrystalline wax, which are petroleum-based waxes, it still was like a pretty decent, good formula. And it worked like really well. Like I made a test batch and I was like, oh, this is great. It's just me and I have this like personal skin sensitivity, and so like I'm really careful about the kind of things that I'm like exposing myself to. Hold on, I have to check a reference photo again. Let's see, what does that look like from the back? I wonder if anyone can guess what this is right now. I know it doesn't look like much. Oh God, what is this? Okay, so it looks like that from the back. Interesting. Okay, I see. I'm gonna need a little more wax. Yeah. Hey, Adilson Barbosa. Sorry I'm butchering your name or anything, but thank you. Yeah, I've missed making videos too. I just don't have the time anymore. But I figured, you know what, why not like do some streaming? Because then I don't have to edit anything. And I tried to make it somewhat interesting by introducing this unique format. I don't think I've seen anyone do this before, or if they have, like I just don't know about it. Um, but yeah, like all of these are like cameras, so you can see like every time I reach for something. I don't know, I thought it would be fun like this. It's probably not necessary. Okay. Oh, we got 7 people watching now. How interesting. I mean, you guys can probably guess what I'm making at this point, but maybe you're not like exactly sure if this is like a real thing or if it's like a imaginary creature. And in fact, I don't even know. 'Cause I have axolotl. That is a very good guess, and I will probably sculpt one of those at some point. Or if so, did the silicone cure okay? Yes. So I have tried molding a relic sculpt before, and the silicone was okay. The only time it wasn't okay was I didn't realize. So I was experimenting with a smoothing solvent, and I basically didn't let the smoothing solvent completely like dry and evaporate from the surface of the sculpt before I went to go mold it, and that caused the silicone to basically not cure right because the surface was like inhibited, and it just left me with like a gooey mess. But if you ever like just mold like a regular like just something that hasn't been treated at all, then it will be completely fine. I would still spray some mold release though, just to make it a little bit easier. So you can do that. You can use Vaseline. I'm sure by now people know like what kind of mold releases there are. Um, it's kind of crazy to think because I remember when I first started like sculpting and stuff, it was so hard to get these materials. And now I just see them all over Amazon and I'm like, whoa, like, this is kind of crazy that this stuff is like just so available to people now. It's great. I think it's really great. But oh God, I think I'm butchering this sculpt. Hold on. What does this look like from the back? Why is there no good picture from the back? Okay, so it's actually thinner there, so let me pinch out some. Yeah. Okay. It's getting there. Not quite though. Didn't realize it had all these parts. Increasing temperature. Okay, yeah. I think I let this cool down a little too much, but that's okay. I'm just gonna heat it up again. Oh, actually, that worked out. Okay, great. That's all I needed, just a little bit of heat. Resin has definitely become more popular. Mudkip. Aha, yes. Oh man, I never realized that Mudkip really looked like this too. It is not a mudkip though. Okay. Oh shoot, I don't think I wanted that, but this isn't gonna be like super biologically or anatomically correct. I'm trying to challenge myself to do more like realistic stuff, but still like keeping it a little bit like just loose and not like super exact. Just because I get like really bored of like when you try to make something look so realistic. Actually, here's an example. Let me grab this. So this is a turtle that I based off a what is known as a, I hope I'm saying this right. I think it's an Aldabra tortoise. Basically, they're like a giant tortoise, giant turtle. I think they're found on like the Galapagos Islands or something. But they're huge. They're basically like 3 feet tall or something, like something crazy like that. Maybe even bigger. But yeah, I've been trying to like really increase my sculpting level because I just over the years I just didn't have the time to really do this stuff that often between work and other things. Um, and it's become more of a hobby for me, so I'm a little rusty. So my goal is to just start like live streaming more often, and this will just keep me sort of practicing always. So thank you guys for watching me do this, and I hope I can like enlighten you guys on any questions you might have. But yeah, you can see like I tried to get like all the different like shell sections and segments, and I was like, oh, I never realized like the how turtles look from the bottom. So like their anatomy is just wild to me. Like how there's this huge freaking exoskeleton shell thing around them, and then like it's like it just sort of morphs and combines into like the rest of. I don't know. Anyway, I got to get back to my other sculpt because I said I was gonna try to finish this in an hour. Okay, just getting there. This thing looks so wacky. Oh, that's not right. Okay, I gotta dig out some of that. Let me try to do this in frame so you can see. This is my alcohol torch, which I'm lighting with another torch, but I don't want to use this one because this fire is just too intense for what I need. Really should just use a lighter to do that, but I'm just so lazy I just grabbed this thing. But yeah, this is an alcohol torch that uses denatured alcohol, which you can buy at Home Depot. And when you squeeze the bottle, it shoots like a little bit of air. You see the flame just sort of moving with the air. And this provides a really nice, stable, gentle flame. If you just want to like heat up something just a little bit, you don't want to melt it too much. So I'm just gonna make this workable again by heating up the zone that I want. And sometimes it takes a couple passes because if you think about it, you're heating the surface, but it takes a while for the heat to reach the inner section. So the good thing though is that this is a very insulated material, so even if the surface feels like cool to the touch, sometimes the inside is still warm, and that gives you like some flexibility in working with it. Although in my case, it looks like it is just cooled down too much, so actually I need to heat it again. Is it a bubble goldfish? It's very close. Any tips on balancing work, hobbies, and school? So I'm in a funny predicament right now. I guess I'll share this with you guys, but for those of you who don't know, I have been around for quite some time, so I'm definitely a lot older than I look. Um, but I'm basically going back to school at a bit of a later part of my age. I'm not like super old, but I just don't want to say. Just maybe I'll tell you guys one day. But basically, that's the reason why I won't really have time to like sell this wax, like produce and sell this wax on my own. Um, I've decided to like go back to school and learn this other thing that I become like really interested in, which is basically what I do at work. And so I'm trying to balance that with school and now like trying to keep up with the content creation and just sharing things because I this is still really important to me. Like I'm going back to school and everything, but it doesn't mean I've like given up on doing this kind of thing. It's just that I've realized that you got to do things in a way that is enjoyable, right? So like if you ever feel like you're forcing yourself into certain situations, you may have to do that, you know, like say you're like training for something or you're like you're like challenging yourself to meet these new goals and whatever, like I get that. But if it doesn't like if you don't feel motivated to do it, like if you start losing like steam, that means you're doing something wrong. You're like overtraining yourself or you're overworking yourself and you just need to find like um some balance. So for me, it's really just like trying to stay like super motivated and focused in what I'm doing. And for me to do that, I need to do like a bunch of different things at the same time, which I know sounds like super counterintuitive, but actually, I feel like it's a healthier mindset for me at least because it allows me to like when I start to burn out on something, I can take a break from it and work on something else. And so I still stay productive in the meantime. And so even if I'm like doing only a little bit of something at a time, if I just keep doing a little bit of something and apply that to like a lot of different things at the same time, um, I just feel like I'm always like being productive and I'm always working towards some kind of goal. So even when I hit like an obstacle with one, because sometimes you hit an obstacle and there's no other way around it. Like you just don't have the answer in that moment, and you like you try, but it just isn't coming to you. And so for me, I just learned to like let go and like not try to force things and just take a break and do something else. So I'm just trying, I think like I guess my main advice for trying to balance work, school, and what's the other thing? Work, hobbies, and school. Yeah. Work, hobbies, and school. It's just like knowing when to stop with each of them. Because if you do one too much, then the other ones will suffer, right? And like you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. You should try to really give it your all to whatever it is that you're interested in. Um, I know some people will think like, oh, if you really want to get good at something, you should just focus on that one thing. But sometimes your experiences in other fields will give you insight into another portion of something else, right? Um, I'm trying to think of like a real world example where this applies. I'm sure there's a good one that someone will think of like in the next 30 seconds. Love your work too. Oh, thank you, Hebrew Hammer. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, it's been a while. Anyway, that was like a sort of long, windy answer to that question. It's just don't like overdo it. Um, and you know, focus on the thing that you need to focus on. Like if you have an exam coming up, you probably should be focusing on studying for that exam and not like your hobbies, which can come later. Um, but then, you know, at the same time, sometimes you do need to take a break. So I get that. I've reached sort of the stage where I just really want to do like a lot of different things, and I'm realizing how little time I really have to do all of them. And so setting like hard deadlines for yourself is really important, right? There's this law, I forget the name of the person who came up with this law. I don't know if he was like a philosopher or a psychiatrist or something, but basically, um, the amount of time, like the law states that like the amount of time you have dictates how long it will take for you to accomplish something. So like say you have a school assignment and they give you a due date of a week. But say you had that same school assignment and instead the due date was like tomorrow. Um, if it doesn't matter like when the due date is, right? Because if the due date is tomorrow, you're gonna find some way to make it happen, right? Even if it's like kind of done like rushed, you will get it done. And if it's a week and you have like and you have all this extra time, you're probably gonna spend your time like working on it, reworking it, or like not doing it until like the last minute. And it probably like will take you the entire week just to finish that same assignment when it could have just taken you that one day. So I guess what you should do then is anytime you have like a task you need to do, just sort of like give yourself like a deadline that's like super rushed so that you just get like a very, very rough draft of that kind of thing done first. And then if you have extra time, then you can like fine tune it and polish it. And you probably will have extra time if you really do like do things too early. Because it's always better to do things early than late, right? Let's strengthen this. Oh, for people who don't know, I'm using a electrically heated wax pen. It's kind of fancy, I know. I'm only using it here just because it just saves me a bunch of time. You don't have to invest in some kind of equipment like this. You can just use an alcohol torch and like a metal spatula, and it does exactly the same thing. It just takes a little bit longer. You just have to heat it and then do the thing. But I'm just using this to save time because I should go to bed. Where was I? Oh yeah. So yeah, I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Like I'm not an expert on time management. As you can see, as I'm sculpting at like midnight. Um, but it also depends on the person, because some people, right, like depending on where you live and like the climate sometimes can affect this. You may just not have like that much energy like to do things, right? Like if you're like living in a place where it's like always cloudy and rainy, you're not getting that vitamin D. You might just feel like lethargic all the time. So it really depends. There's no straight answer for balancing everything you want to do. But I guess just cutting out the stuff that isn't going to help you at all is usually a good answer. Like if you know you're doing something and you're like, this isn't actually like helping me get to a better level. It's okay to have hobbies. I don't think you should like completely cut out all the things that you enjoy. Just, even I'm not saying like everything you need to do has to have a purpose, but if you're doing something and it's actually like giving you negativity or worry because like it's stopping you from completing some goal or accomplishment you want to have, then it might be time to like reassess like how important is that hobby to you, or like how much time do you think you should be allocating to it, you know? Because yeah, in the short term it may seem like this is something that you really want to do, but long term it may be better to just like take a break from it and come back to it when you're ready. Because I find it's just way more enjoyable to sort of like not do something that I enjoy for a while, so that when I do get back to it, it actually is like I respect it and I value it a lot more, right? You don't know what you have until it's gone. Oh, it's so cheesy, but it's true. Okay, so I'm not gonna go crazy here. I just wanted to like strengthen those bonds because I saw like some of the seams didn't really fully uh like they were still separate. So I just don't want them cracking off because I'm gonna be manipulating this kind of uh crazily for this next part. Probably don't have to go crazy with this. So the thing about wax is it's not like clay, right? Because you need to heat it to make it malleable. At least after it's cooled down a lot, you have to do like all this touch-up work to make it malleable. There, just dropped. So that's why wax is really better suited for making small things. So that's why it was so great in like the toy industry. Although there are like huge sculpts made with wax. Um, okay, so now you're probably gonna understand what I'm trying to make. Once I do this, wait. Okay, I said this is only gonna take me an hour, and it's already been long. I don't even know. Oh, jeez. It's already been like 40 minutes. Okay. Just looking at reference photo. Let's see, it's a lot. Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna try to find a way to do this that looks right. Magikarp. I, honestly, it could be anything at this point. And maybe that's what I like. I'm still trying to figure out the format of this whole thing. Like, I don't know, like, how interesting this is to people. Maybe I do like a more interactive thing where I like, hey, tell me what to sculpt and I'll sculpt it. Like, I'll have like a system in place where it's like if this thing like a poll or whatever, and like if I get all these votes, I'll add like an extra arm, even though it's something that doesn't isn't supposed to have an arm there. Okay, I think I increased the heat too much. That's getting too melty. Lower that. Okay. Doesn't look right. But what is it supposed to look like? I don't know. You know, I don't like that one there. We're gonna move this one here. That makes more sense. Yes. Maybe this one could go in the middle. I don't know if I like that yet. Well, I'm really not doing a good job, huh? You guys are like guessing what the heck I'm making. And thank you again, guys, for sticking here with me all these years. I know I haven't been the best YouTuber slash content creator. I tend to go off into the sunset on my own every now and then. But I am always like quietly chugging away and doing stuff. It's just hard to come back sometimes because it's like I don't really know if I am. I'm always worried that I'm not having like a good effect on people. Like I should be worried about that, right? Like who am I? I'm just some random guy sculpting stuff. Uh, it worries me sometimes when I put something out there and I give people like I don't want to say false hope, like because for me it's like it's very easy to like see other people doing really well and successful. I'm like, oh, I really want to do that thing too. Like that looks like a lot of fun, and then I get like so obsessed doing that one thing, and I'm like, okay, this is like not really for me. And like sculpting with wax is cool and all, but I don't know if it's like really that useful of a skill. It's really just like more for my own personal enjoyment. Yes, banter and fun, you got it. It's a pufferfish. I know it took. How long has it been? About like 45 minutes. It took 45 minutes to make this thing look like a stupid pufferfish. I don't know why I'm sculpting a pufferfish. I have this obsession with more recently. I have gotten into this obsession of like not like dangerous stuff, but like I like things that aren't like likable. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of draws me to them, like things that people don't normally consider like, oh, like that's something everyone would like. I just like tend to gravitate towards that kind of stuff because I'm like, what is it about this that I don't like? Like that's what makes it so interesting. Favorite video games. Oh boy. I don't really play video games. Maybe as a kid I did like Pokemon and stuff, but I kind of not to say that I grew out of them because I still enjoy playing stuff. Like I still play like freaking every now and then I will install the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links app on my phone I don't know if anyone knows this app, but it's basically like a Yu-Gi-Oh digital app. And it's just kind of nice to revisit those childhood memories playing with my friends and stuff. But like, yeah, I don't really play video games that often anymore. I think the last thing I really played a lot of was like Animal Crossing. But yeah, I do watch a lot of stuff though. Like for me, I'm just lazy. I'm too lazy to play games and finish storylines. Like I've never played Final Fantasy. I've never played like Zelda. I like I just don't I just didn't have like the attention span to finish those games. As you see, this is a very cartoony rendition of a pufferfish. That's just because I like that. And it's gonna get better. I'm just trying to figure out like I'm trying to just make it look somewhat like it at first before I get into details. Like maybe tomorrow night if I have time. I should probably have time tomorrow night. Um, I'll come back to this sculpt and keep working on it and fine tuning the details. But tonight's really just like a rut sculpt. Like how can I just get all the like basic shapes done? You know? Oh, a jellyfish. Yes, jellyfish would be hard to sculpt, but maybe not as hard as you think it is. Because it really is just it's like a cylinder slash cone shape for the head, right? Like this rounded dome thing, and then just a bunch of legs. Um, but it depends on the jellyfish, because some jellyfish have a ton of legs. I just chose this pufferfish because it's round and I don't know. They're kind of funny. Splatoon was fun actually. I played a lot of Splatoon. I know there's like a new version, like Splatoon 3 or something coming out. Gosh, I don't keep up with that stuff that well. Um, but yeah, what have I been watching? Because I do watch a lot of stuff. I just watched Sandman on Netflix, and that was really good. I haven't read the comics, but it's like making me want to read the comics because of how good the show is. But it's like almost like the show is so good on its own that I don't want to read the comics because I want to enjoy it in like the live action format first. I don't know. It's a it's hard to make a decision. But yeah, Sandman is really good. It's like super dark but also like super fun to me. Okay. Let's see now. Actually, I didn't want this much, but that's okay. Um, what you guys want to see though? Like, are there any specific things that you guys want to know about sculpting or like things that you're trying to sculpt that you're like wondering like what's the best way to approach this? Because I'm interested too, because I haven't sculpted enough to know. I've been doing this for a while, but it's been more of like a hobby for me, and it's only like more recently that I've had like sort of the time and energy to get back into it. Um, so like I've decided to just start simple. Well, I guess this is simple, and just start sculpting like animals and stuff. So like here's my turtle. Now I'm doing a pufferfish. As you can see, they are not life size accurate because a pufferfish this big compared to a giant tortoise would actually be kind of insane. But yeah, if you guys have any like what are you guys working on? You know, I want to know. I'm bored of working on my own stuff. I want to know what you guys are working on or just what you're enjoying at this current time. Okay, I just spent like the last 2 minutes trying to like get the perfect amount of wax to make a spike, and I keep failing for some reason. So definitely need to work on that. That's good enough. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna probably like make all these spikes like a little bit skinnier, but I kind of like, for me, I'm more of a subtractive sculptor, meaning I like carving away at stuff more than adding stuff on top over like stuff like some people will just like start with like little bits and just add only as much as they need to and never have to like take much away. I'm kind of I like just adding a bunch and then sort of carving at it to reveal like what I want underneath. Um, and there's no like right or wrong way. That's just my personal style. It's getting there. Hello, fella. Again, I'm just getting a rut sculpt started, and then tomorrow or maybe the night after, um, I will come back to it and keep fine tuning this sculpt. I like seeing people's process. Lets me know how they come up with the solution to make things. Yes, that is very true. I learned a lot watching other people sculpt, and um, it's just like it's hard to imagine how to do something at first, especially if you don't have experience in it. And there's still so much I don't know with sculpting and other stuff. Um, so yeah, I definitely agree. Like being able, like living in a day and age where we can see so many people's different approaches to things, it's just really kind of inspiring and really helps make things more approachable. And that's actually why I'm like, for those of you who don't know, I'm going back to school and learning like this other thing that I never thought I'd be going back to school for. So I'm like, this is just like way out of my league. I don't think I can study this. I'm not smart enough for this. I just like sculpt toys and stuff. Um, but I've decided to try and learn this topic because I saw a lot of people. I mean, I got to work with people who kind of showed me the way and showed me how like simple it is actually when you understand the basics of it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I can actually learn this. Maybe this is something for me. I just finished sculpting a character from the game Arms. I use springs for the arms, and it's funny because arms just kind of move around. Ha! Yes, I know that game. I haven't played it, but I've always wanted to because it looks really fun. And I love the character designs because of the springs. Like, I'm like so into like mecha and like robotic looking stuff. So the spring element was like really interesting to me. And yeah, like I am sculpting with wax, but a lot of the times, if there is like an actual world substitute for what you want to like put on a sculpt, use that. Like I've used I've also used like little metal pieces and bits and bobs and stuff when I didn't feel like sculpting it completely from scratch. It's not cheating, it's just like just making the process more enjoyable for yourself, right? Because there's people who really enjoy crafting something from the ground up, making every little piece bit by bit. And if you're one of those people, then you should do that. But if you're someone like me who is kind of just like wants to get the idea down and isn't worried too much about how realistic it is, that's just like more stressful for me to do then, right? I'm just sort of like because they're basically kind of like just pressed on right now, and the wax is hot enough to like take it and sort of bind the separate pieces together, but I'm just going around and just helping it and making sure they don't actually fall off by sealing the deal. I guess we can call this sealing the deal. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put a bunch more. Have you seen Bobby make wood projects? He mainly does subtractive, but you see how he plans his project. Wow, his bow was awesome. No, I've not seen that. I probably should check that out then. I like woodworking, and bows are really cool. I've shot a bow maybe once or twice. I live in like this more suburban city area. I don't know, more city area. So like I don't really have a chance to shoot a bow that often, but it's a really fun experience. But yeah, I would like to see how this Bobby fellow plans out his projects because I definitely need better project planning skills. Okay, we're getting there. I can't tell you how long it took for me to decide to come back and just like start sculpting, live streaming. So it was like, oh, what am I gonna show? And like, I don't know. People even still interested in this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna do it. And thank you guys for being so supportive and giving me tips. Because I really don't consider myself an expert on this kind of stuff. I just have done like a lot of different things related to it. So I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, not really a master. But I do really want to like improve my abilities. That mouth looks kind of weird, but okay. Probably gonna add some mass here. But before I do that, I'm gonna heat it a little bit because I really want it to bond well. I'm gonna really try to, like, I started a Twitch channel and I thought I was gonna live stream there, but it just seems so much effort to like learn another platform. I know it's not that big a deal. And I'm like, what are these subs and bits? Like, I don't understand these terms. I feel so old. I mean, I am kind of old. Do you like working with polymer clay? Um, I think I haven't had enough time with it. If I did, I bet I would like really enjoy it because I do like seeing how people can use all these different techniques because that's something I'm always interested in is different techniques. With wax, like there's really only a handful of techniques you can do, because it's just wax, right? And it's also like it depends on how hot it is. But with something like polymer clay, which is like very malleable and it's very soft, you can do so much more. Um, so I think I do like polymer clay in that sense, but I don't really have any pieces of work to show for that. I'm a wax guy. This wax was like literally the first material I learned to sculpt with. Um, and it's always just sort of given me that nice sense of familiarity. I definitely wouldn't suggest it to people to use for the if they're just starting out learning how to sculpt because it's very hard, and when you're first learning how to sculpt you want to learn how to make forms like look right. Like, does this look too fat? Like, is this angle good? Like, how can I make this more dynamic? And it's really hard to do that wax because wax doesn't want to budge. Like, that's the whole point of wax is that you get a hard sculpt afterwards that kind of stays like permanent almost until you melt it down. So I would definitely recommend like using oil-based clays, or water-based ones, paper mache even, and polymer clay when you're first starting out. But that doesn't mean that you can't keep using those materials, right? Because everyone has their own medium that they like. Like for me, it's wax. Other people, they're polymer clay and they make like such amazing stuff out of polymer clay, or paper mache, or oil-based clay, or whatever, you know. Like you really just can't compare. Um, okay, are you still? Yes, you're still melty. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab you. All right. I'm just trying to get some material. Okay, there we go. Right here. Kind of fine details to usually go for. I like textures and patterns. So like, for instance, with that turtle sculpt I showed you earlier, like, I really wanted to capture the scales. Is it scales? It's not really scales, but the texture of their skin, which is like cracked and dry and all these like things. So I like little intricate details like that. Um, Things that are repetitive, because it's kind of like Zen as you're working on them, because you're just like doing this one thing over and over again. Um, maybe that's why I picked the pufferfish to sculpt as well, because all these spikes, right? They're kind of basically the same thing, just like repeated all over. I just like patterns in nature. Like that's something that's always been interesting to me, because it's like it's basically math, you know? It's like these living organisms and friggin' mathematical in nature. So anything that has like a repetitive sort of texture to it, but still has like some level of asymmetry. Like this isn't gonna be a very asymmetrical sculpt because it's freaking round and I'm just, doing whatever. Maybe there's a way to make it more asymmetrical. I don't know. But orange skin or hair? Orange skin. I have not. Orange skin's kind of interesting because it's not like rough, right? It has like little divots in it. I guess you get away with the ball tool, a ball shape. I had one. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. So like something like this, I guess. You can like put little divots all over it, and then you can like go over that with some texture from like sponge. But don't. Actually, this is still soft, so this should work. Yeah, that kind of worked. I don't know if you can see that. Focus. Okay, no, that's not visible. Hold on, let me do like a bigger chunk. Hair is fun because hair is like so alive and it was just basically like just scratching it, like the surface, making all those fine little hairlines and details. Okay, here we go. This is still warm. Press down pretty hard. That might have been too hard. But we can just smooth it out. Yeah. It's not really supposed to look like this, but just a few divots here and there. You know what? Let me Google this right now because I have. Oh wow, there's a lot of. This is like a tryptophobia nightmare. Jesus. I was getting there. I need like more varied tools. Ah, yes, I do have. Okay. Look at a bunch of times. What am I doing? But it's not supposed to be perfect circles, so like, I don't know. I don't know if this really looks like it. Looking at pictures. It's kind of getting there though. I think the problem is that it's not orange. If it was orange, it would really look like it. But that's interesting. Go back from whence you came. So yeah, let's put a little live like watch of that melting. You see that like right there? Just watch it melt. What was I doing? Yeah. Probably gonna end the stream soon. Again, I just wanted to get like a rut sculpt started. Also, it's getting kind of late. I don't want to keep you guys up either. But I will try to start at a more earlier time. I want to get into a routine of doing this. It's just it took me so long to get set up today that I almost was like, you know what, maybe I'll just do this tomorrow. But I was like, you know what, kind of wanted to do it today, and I'm gonna like be at work tomorrow, thinking about like, oh darn, I didn't get to do it last night. So I just wanted to sort of make good on my own personal promise to get this done. You know what? Since it's still kind of warm, I'm gonna fill up as many areas as I can with spikes before I go, because otherwise it's gonna be a pain to kind of heat up those little zones again and make sure there's a good bond with the body. Oh, actually no, there's a quicker way to do that. And this is a technique I saw from Adam Bean, who makes CX5, the original precursor wax that kind of inspired me to make my own wax. But basically, he has this technique where, and maybe this isn't just used in wax, maybe people do this with clay as well. Are you gonna melt your sculpt live after you're done? You know what? That wouldn't be a bad thing to do, right? It's kind of like everything. I mean, nothing lasts forever, right? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll like sculpt something specifically like meant to be melted afterwards because it'll like look really cool as it's melting. I don't know what that would be. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So if like say it's been like a couple days and you know you haven't worked on the sculpt and it's wax, what you do is heat up like a pot of water. Don't get it to boiling, or if you do get it to boiling, then let it cool. And then I would like check the temperature by either using a thermometer or you can take like a spare piece of wax you might have and just like dip it in there and see if it's melting. Basically, you just want it hot enough that it will heat up the whole wax sculpture without actually melting it. So you just put the sculpt in that like hot pot of water, sit for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, make sure it's not melting. And when you pull it out, it should be like sort of like warm and soft, and you can, you know, work it. Oh, I didn't realize, but the spikes make it like stand up naturally. That's kind of cool. I like that. Oh wait, but then you can like pose it in different directions. I mean, this isn't that interesting, honestly. It's just, but see, like you can't really do like that kind of thought doesn't come to your mind when you're just like, and I'm not trying to like dig at people who do digital sculpting because that's like a whole world of like amazing stuff that like just isn't doable in the real world. Like that has so many capabilities that like traditional sculpting doesn't have, and I really respect people who can do that. But like anyone who's seen like my spinning tops knows that like I would not have created that if I didn't try to sculpt it by hand first. Because the idea came to me when I was like, I want to make this like 3-armed robot character. And then I like saw that I could stick a handle in it and then spin it. And I was like, oh shoot, this is a top. This is a spinning top. And what if I made those 3 arms like have rock, paper, scissors hands? Because I was thinking like three hands. What's 3 hands? Rock, paper, scissors. And that whole idea came from just like that, just sort of going with the flow. And I don't think like I would have come up with that idea in a million years if I wouldn't have come up with that idea unless I had been doing it like in the real world and like physically tactile, like manipulating the thing. But one could also say that now with the advent of much more affordable and professional 3D printing, I could have started out designing like a 3-armed robot, right, in CAD software, like modeling software, and which I do now, but I could have started out with that, printed it out, played with it a little bit, and then realized, oh wait, this could be a top. Like I could have done that as well. So you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. That's the thing that always drew me to traditional sculpting over digital. Like I still do like 3D modeling and stuff as well. But I like 3D modeling more for like things that have to be exact and symmetrical, because it just works so well for that. And I like sculpting in the real world with like wax or clay when something's supposed to be more organic, even if it's like kind of cartoony, because that just like gives more life to it. Like I don't know about you guys, but I see so many like ridiculously, insanely like detailed digital sculpts online, but for some reason, I just can't really see the difference between them. You know what I mean? Like I can't, and maybe I just haven't seen enough work to realize this, but I just can't see like the artist's like personal style in them. Like I could see like when they pick a specific type of thing they like to sculpt or subject matter, but everything just kind of looks the same to me. I don't know how to explain it. Um, but like, of course, it depends on the sculpting level of the person. Um, but like when you add so much, like, because that's the thing with 3D, you can add so much detail, right? You can add more detail than you could ever see with the naked eye sometimes. And I almost feel like things get lost in that sea of detail, right? It's like almost like tunnel vision or something. Um, Now don't get me wrong, like I love detail. I love really detailed sculpts because there's so much to look at. And it's like so interesting. And but just personally, I find that even when I do this, like when I'm 3D modeling stuff, like I tend to get too focused on these like little things that I like forget about the big picture. And I just end up making something that looks like kind of, I don't know, like it's not friendly. You have appreciate for, oh, thank you. You guys are so nice. I think I'm just old. Like I grew up in the 90s, which isn't that old, but like, and I know there might be older people than me here on this stream, but like I lived very simply in the old days. And I think that's another reason why like I find it really hard to stay in touch with like content creation and stuff like that. Like I don't upload a lot, although I'm going to change that by trying to live stream as much as possible. It's just that it's just so weird to me to be putting myself out there because I'm used to just like peace and quiet, and no one really ever knowing what I'm doing. It's still difficult for me to share my work. And I think it's just because I haven't really figured out what exactly I want to make. But I don't think anyone ever really like knows. You just sort of go with the flow. Or if you do have a really clear vision, that's good. But I'm not one of those people who has that kind of like super clear vision. Like if you've seen any of my content, you know I like range crazy. Like I do all these like different things. I try to make a board game at one point, which I still want to do because I think that would be really cool. But I haven't played enough board games, or I just don't know enough about game mechanics to really like come up with a good one yet. I have a couple like ideas that are on the back burner. I'm just like waiting for one of them to like hit. Like I'm just waiting for inspiration to hit, and just like, oh, I know how to make this game really fun and exciting. So is that smaller? It is smaller. Okay, so I need to. Just trying to like make the size of these pupils like somewhat even, because that's bothering me a little bit. Like almost like I feel like I'm gonna forget to do it later. But I probably don't have to worry about something like that. Actually, the eyes are not really round. They're more like, let's see, they're kind of almond shaped. They kind of stick out like stick out more. It's more like a that shape. I see. Okay. So I'm gonna go like that, and then okay. I think that's a tomorrow thing. The last thing I'm gonna do is just fix this mouth because I don't like how asymmetrical it is. Although maybe that's fine, but what weird creatures, pufferfish. Like they make such a poisonous substance, and yet people eat them. Like who saw this fish and was like, I want to eat that? That's what I think about like lobster and other like I'm not a huge seafood guy. I do like, sushi and stuff, but like crab and lobster, more exotic stuff, like I'm just not that good with. But again, I do find it interesting because I'm like, why do I not like this? Okay, I'm just gonna let that melt a little bit. Let's see here. And I'm just gonna think about how I'm just been rambling this whole time. Like I don't have a clear format for this live stream. I was thinking about like ways to make it more interactive and how to get like just make it more fun and entertaining. But I think it's really just gonna be me sitting here and talking about random stuff as I sculpt very random looking things. Starving villagers, I bet. Wait, what was that a reference to? I forget what I was talking about. Or Oh. Yep. Yeah, I always have to remember that, like, I'm really lucky to be able to even do this kind of thing. I know, like, you're supposed to just live your own reality and, like, whatever, but I was, like, not trying to compare, but just think about, like, how lucky I am that I got to learn how to do this kind of thing. Um, because it's very therapeutic, and it's basically like a luxury, right? Like, who needs wax? No one needs wax. That's not true. There's wax actually has a lot of uses. But like sculpting in general, like it's not really a necessity. So like whenever I get frustrated doing something, I always have to stop myself and I think like, okay, how stressed am I about this like thing that I'm stressed out about? Is it worth all this stress? Why don't I just have fun with it? It's not that big a deal. Okay, that's better. I like that. That's more even. It's weird. I was feeling really tired earlier, but now I'm like kind of awake. Am I in frame? I hope I'm in frame. Okay. Oh, it's so rough, but whatever. I might, I might like do something weird to this. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks, Gucci. I actually, oh, I just realized I can't say your whole name. But thanks, Gucci. We're probably gonna end this stream soon. But I will be back tomorrow. I'm gonna really try to make it tomorrow and be more consistent. I'm gonna try to like keep to a schedule. I will like be going to school and stuff, and I have work, but everyone does, right? Like everyone's got all these obligations they gotta fill. So I still want to be able to find time in my day to do something I enjoy, at least for like an hour, where I can just unwind. Um, yeah, this is a very ugly looking pufferfish right now, but I promise you it's gonna get a lot better. Thank you, thank you. No, it is cute. I think I like cute and ugly stuff. That's what I like. As a thank you guys for It's a small thank you to you guys for watching the stream. I will share with you something else I've been working on. Okay, so this is a little bit more polished, but it's still like not nearly where I want it to be. I don't really know where I'm going with this guy because I haven't figured out yet. Do I want to make it look more realistic, or do I want to keep it looking more like uh just like basic like this, where it looks like a chiseled stone sculpture and then just adding texture on top of it? I might end up just doing that because I've been working on this piece for so long that like I kind of don't even care about it anymore. But basically, what this guy is if you know my Rocky figure, um, basically I copied that formula and I wanted to make another sculpt that could stand on different limbs. But as you can see, I've made it like slightly bigger, and it's like now it's like a bunch of different things. So we have like fists, and I try to make all of them like animal related. So like this is supposed to be like an ape fist. This is like a snake. It's like, I guess like a tiger foot thing. Some like hawk or falcon leg. And then also like a bird head, but like it's also more like a mask. Yes, it does look like a stone Digimon. Actually, that's exactly what this looks like. Oh my god, you really put like the name to it. Um, yeah. Oh man, I really love Digimon. Digimon all the way. Like, forget Pokemon. Digimon was my jam. Um, and the cool thing about this guy is, if I ever finish this piece, I'm gonna have it like 3D scanned and upload the files and share them. And basically, what you can do is you can print it and inset these like magnets into it so that they stick. And basically, like it can stand on each of the limbs. A falcon punch, yeah. So it can stand on each of the limbs, right? Just like Rocky can. But when you get bored of looking at it that way, you can like mix it up. So it just looks like this really like weird thing until you put it back together the right way. This is a very like ambitious idea of mine because like it's taken me so long just to figure out like the balance, because I've had to like rework the direction of all like where all the limbs are shooting out from so that it actually like balances right. Um, but I knew that I wasn't gonna be able to make a mold of this because it's just too time consuming. Like you can do it, but I'm at the stage where I'm kind of like tired of making molds. Like, it, first of all, it's kind of expensive, right? You gotta buy silicone, and then you gotta like make the mold box and everything. But also, I just don't like casting resin anymore, just because, as I mentioned before, I've gotten a bit of like a skin sensitivity to certain things, and so I'm trying to be more careful with what I expose my body to, in terms of like just fumes and vapors and stuff, and like just resin casting. Like there are like more bio-based safer resins out there, but I still don't feel super comfortable using them. But then I realized, oh my god, like I see all these videos, people 3D scanning stuff, and I'm like, oh, I can probably just get this 3D scanned and then just have the files digitally and then just print it out with like a resin printer. Um, and that way I don't have to worry about like, like parting lines and cleaning up flashing from the resin cast relics, that too. Um, yeah, I could just keep. That's the other idea I have, is that I will make like a base shape, because this is like an ongoing project I want to do. Like I want to keep creating new like limbs and torso and head pieces so that you can mix and match all kinds of different like weird combinations. So it's like, I guess a tentative name for this guy is like a chimera thing. Like a, I don't know. He's like a chimera sculpture. And I really want him to be able to like, people can just pick different things and just add them on and just make like all the kind of different weird characters they want, like freaking Voltron or something. Uh, yes, I will be safe with resin. I still work with resin every now and then, so it's not like I'm like super allergic to it. I just don't enjoy working with it that often. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna work on this. I want to polish up the shapes, and then I think I am gonna do that. I'm just gonna make it more like a stone, like sculpture looking thing, so it looks more like a weird totem or some artifact thing. I don't want to make it too realistic. Like I was thinking about adding feathers and stuff to everything, but I think that would actually detract from it looking like this weird, as you said, stone Digimon thing. Because I kind of like that aesthetic. Like that's my problem, is I never really know if what I'm making is like approachable. Because to me, like I find weird things approachable and interesting to look at, and other people are like, "What is that? I don't like, that's boring," or that just looks like off. But I just remember like, oh, I just have to do what I like, because it doesn't matter what other people like as long as I like it. You know, like I'm not making this to sell. I mean, not yet. Um, so as long as I enjoy the process, I think it will be fine. We make a tiki head. I would love to make a tiki head. Oh man. I may end up doing like details like tiki carvings or like native like Maori carvings like from New Zealand. Um, or like Aztec like textures and stuff because it's already kind of going there, so I might as well just go with that route. But yeah, I'm just sort of taking my time on this one because this is one like I do every now and then when I'm bored, and so I've literally been working on this guy for like over a year now. Um, and I just always come back to him, and then I'm coming back to like making weird pufferfish. Anyway, that will be an ongoing project, which I'll be excited to share with you guys. But thank you guys for being here tonight. Yes, an Aztec lion head. Oh, I really want to do a lion head. Lion heads are so cool. Talking about hair and stuff. Um, oh, and then it would really be like a chimera. But yeah, thank you guys for being here tonight and um, just watching me sculpt. Thanks, Gushi. Um, I'm gonna try to be more consistent with. I may not be uploading videos as often. I'm trying out this whole live streaming thing. Um, I don't know if people like this format more or they like just me making videos, but honestly, I just enjoyed sculpting this right now, and I hope that I can just keep doing that for you guys. Thanks. Thanks, Banter. Thank you guys. I'm gonna go to bed now. So good night to you all, or good morning if you live somewhere else. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. All right, signing off. Thanks, guys.